Hi, I'm Mary Lynn Maloney with the Orland Park Public Library. Today I'm going to show you how to make a mason bee house. Now, mason bees aren't as well known or perhaps glamorous as their honeybee cousins, but they're great little pollinators, and this is a great way to make a little nesting area for them. What they look for typically is holes in wood or trees, maybe even underneath a porch, and that's where they build their nests. They don't make hives. So this is a great way to encourage them to come into your area and give them a safe place to nest. The bees will find these little holes and burrow in, and the female will lay her eggs, and then she takes mud and water and pollen and mixes it together and plugs up the tubes, and that secures her eggs and keeps them safe. Thus the term mason bee, because she's basically making little bricks for herself with the mud and the water and the pollen mixture, and that she puts into the little tubes to keep all the eggs safe. And they'll remain there until they're ready to hatch and come out. So let's get started with the how-to part of the project. The first step in building our house is to start with the plastic tube and 2 of the rubber bands. Very simply, just put the rubber bands around the tube on each end, so they're evenly spaced. They don't have to be super straight, but you can straighten them out if you want to. And then this is how it will look. The next step is, I have one here that's finished. We're going to take your wire and slip one end of it under one of the rubber bands. And then you can twist that wire together. Just make sure it's holding on well. And this is what you're going to be putting your beads on. So you've got about a 30-inch length of wire here. And once you're attached, you're going to take your pencil and very simply wind the wire around the pencil and create this little curly cube or a spiral with your wire. That's going to be a way to stop the bead you're going to thread on here, and it will also look pretty. Now, this part is actually, it has nothing to do with the functionality of the house. It's simply decorative. And I did read somewhere that mason bees are drawn to purple and yellow flowers. So I wanted to use some purple wire and maybe some purple and gold beads on there. Who knows if it will attract them, but it's not going to hurt anything. So I've slipped a bead on, and then my little curlicue or spiral here catches that bead. And so that's kind of a large-ish bead. So I'm going to put on a smaller bead, pick a yellow this time. And then I'm going to stop. I'm going to do the same thing, create a little spiral or twirl. And that acts as a way to capture your beads and stop them from falling off the wire. So just hold on to that, and you're going to just randomly keep doing the same thing. You're going to wrap your wire around the tube, pick an area to do your little twirly thing around your pencil. Pencils are so great for this. If you don't have jewelry making tools, So you don't have to worry about anything. Just use a pencil. All right, here comes another bead. Maybe a blue one now, blue-green. So you get the idea. Make a little spiral, put on a bead or two, however many you want, and then make a spiral again to capture it. And just randomly keep wrapping and repeating, adding the beads. So as you work, you're just building up a decorative beaded wire. So I'm going to put this one aside and show you one that I finished. And you'll see when I finished doing the beading, I ended it up the same way I began, by sticking the wire underneath one of the rubber bands and then just bringing it back on itself and twisting it just to secure everything. Now we're going to move on to adding our hanging string. So I have some twine here. And you're going to take the ends of your twine. One is going under each of the rubber bands. So one side of the twine goes under one rubber band, one goes under the other. And this is going to create your hanger. So at the top, just tie a knot. A double knot might be a good idea, because this part is going to hang from somewhere in your yard, from a tree or a fence post or something like that. And then you can work on getting the knot centered so that when you hang your house, it'll hang evenly. All right, now the outside of the house is complete, but the really important part is the inside. So let's move on to that step. Here's where you'll need your glue. And you're just going to pour your glue in and make a nice puddle at the bottom of your tube. And you can just move the tube around so that it spreads out. If you need to add more, just add more. You don't need a whole lot, but you need a nice puddle of it. And just let it spread around until it fills the bottom of the tube. So while that's spreading around a little bit, let's work on cutting your tubes down to put inside of the house. So these are just cardboard tubes. And they're the diameter that the bees like to crawl into to do their nesting and laying their eggs. And these are available on the internet, and they're made specifically for mason bee houses. For your particular house, these tubes are going to need to be cut to about 4 inches, which conveniently is half the size of the tubes we have here. So just cut them in half. The measurement doesn't have to be precise or exact. I don't think the bees really care. So you'll notice that you'll have some tubes that are a bit thinner than others. That's intentional because different size bees might prefer the smaller diameter. Some might prefer larger, so you're giving them some options for nesting. So you're going to cut down your tubes until you have about 24 of them to fit in your particular house. And I just so happen to have my 24 here. So you've got your nice puddle of glue working there. You could actually take your first stick and use it to spread the glue around. And then you're simply going to just pop all of these tubes into the tube and have the bottoms of them rest on your puddle of glue. It doesn't matter where the little ones are or the big ones are. Just tuck them all in, and it'll be very secure. It will be a little bit tight when you start putting the last ones in there, but about 24 is what will fill this nicely and give the bees lots of nesting area. So just keep tucking those in, and you see it's filling up, and they're just going to sit at the bottom and attach to that glue. See, it's getting a little tight in here with my last one, but if you wriggle things around, you're able to get them all in there. It's nice and snug. So here is your finished house. You are, of course, going to let that just sit, let the glue dry so that everything is in there nice and secure before you hang it. And when you do go out to hang it outside somewhere. The ideal place is a place with full sun in an area that faces south or southeast. And it should be at least 3 feet off the ground. And if possible, close to a water source. Maybe leave a little dish or a saucer of water so that the bees have ready access to it. Now, when you hang it from the tree, hang it so that it's slightly, just ever so slightly, pointed downward, so if any rain hits it, it will fall off and not fall into the house. There is your finished house. Have fun making a place for pollinators, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you have questions or comments, you can always reach me at outreach@orlandparklibrary.org. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.